Hi, Miguel here, back with another Orange vlog. Today, we are doing Volume 4, and tensions are really beginning to rise as we get closer and closer to Kakeru's supposed suicide date. Um, by the end of this volume, we reach, it's basically December. We're coming up on Christmas and New Year's Eve and that kind of thing. And so, apparently, before we get to that, the a big chunk of this volume is dedicated to the sports festival and the relay race. But also, Kakeru and Naho share a few touching moments together, and by touching, I do mean like they share an umbrella. So now that we know that everyone has been given a letter from their future selves. Now they can all coordinate their letters and work together to make sure that Kakeru and Naho end up together, and that Kakeru, more importantly, does not end up killing himself. So, to that event, Azu, for one, like for example, at one point, Azu gets an umbrella for her birthday, and it's a brand new, like, beautiful umbrella, which means that she has an extra umbrella with her. So it happens to rain, and Kakeru's like, "Hey, can I borrow your umbrella?" Azu has to say no in order to make sure that Naho and Kakeru walk together and end up, having that cutesy little moment together. Thankfully, by the way, no Ueda in this one. There is a distinct lack of Ueda, and I am very grateful for that because I don't know if I could take any more of her. So anyway, that happens. In addition, something that I continually forget to mention in these in these books is that the artwork is really, really gorgeous. I know, like I mentioned in my Naruto series, that I'm not always like, it's not that I dislike the artwork, it doesn't stand out to me as much, and maybe that's because I've seen Naruto before. I've seen all of these designs before. I'm kind of used to it, in a way. But like a lot of these, sometimes they include like it looks like it's been painted sometimes. Like instead of drawn, sometimes it looks painted, and it looks really beautiful, especially those emotional moments between Naho and Kakeru that really are absolutely gorgeous. And I think this volume really showcases that really, really well. I really like the designs of all these characters. I kind of wish some of the characters, I feel like, look too much like each other. Like sometimes when Hagita takes his glasses off, he looks a lot like Suwa, and I have a hard time telling the two apart. And Azu and Naho, when they have when they put their hair up similarly, I have a hard time telling them apart. So, but like, I love the artwork otherwise, especially the art style. And so when we finally get to the relay race, we remember that this is the point where Kakeru has to have a good day, otherwise he's going to be very bummed out. We're worried that if this day does not go well for him, it will contribute heavily to his suicide, right? So what they end up doing, first of all, Kakeru would have been the only one without any family at the sports festival, so they invite his grandmother, despite the fact that his grandmother lives quite a ways away from the school. So one of, I believe it was Sua's parents who actually drive her to the school, and it helps Kakeru feel a little more happy. And we do take a glimpse at Kakeru's mental state. There's one point where Kakeru actually lashes out at Naho. He really, really wants to do the relay. So when Naho like insists that, hey, you should probably get your injuries checked out from the capture the flag, competition, Kakeru actually lashes out. So and we see Kakeru like hold back a lot. He doesn't talk about his feelings with his friends. He doesn't talk about what happened with his mother. He actually straight up lies about what happens to his mother, not realizing that his friends already know. So he doesn't want to impose his burden on them. And it's honestly, I really like Kakeru, especially after seeing that. I think he's such a nice guy. He's so considerate. He's like, I don't think my friends want to be brought down by my problems, so I'm going to keep it to myself. And it's considerate, but it's also like it's also not the right mindset, because if you keep it to yourself, there's nothing that can be done. You don't have any you risk just spiraling deeper and deeper into depression. So it helps to confide in a friend and, let out your feelings, let them know, talk to someone, and let them help you, right? And that is what Kakeru is not doing. While it's a noble thing to do, to not confide in your friends, and the fact that he doesn't want to let his friends down or to hurt them, then it's a very decent thing to do on a surface level analysis. But it's also like you have to like talk to someone, you have to confide in them, you have to let them know what's going on. And Kakeru, I think, finally does that. He finally lets them know that his mother has passed away. He finally lets them know that they notice that he's been feeling down the entire day, and it's because he wishes his mother was with him. We flash back to a really beautiful memory from when he was in elementary school after his father had divorced his mother, when he just couldn't have a good time until the very last moment where there was a race and he actually won, and he smiled, and his mother took a picture of that smile. So he was remembering that. And when he does finish the race at the end of this volume, he feels his mother looking down on him, and it's a beautiful moment, a beautiful parallel to a different part of Kakeru's story. One minor gripe, and this is the gripe I had with Naruto as well. I kind of wish we had seen that backstory a little earlier in the volume. Maybe not like in a previous volume or something, but like right before the sports festival. I feel like it would be great to see that memory before Kakeru finishes the race. So yeah, we also have some humorous moments. I'm really beginning to like Hagita a little more. There's a moment where the boys are playing capture the flag, and they basically take their shirts off. Of course, the girls are all over Suwa because he's the big jock, he's muscular, and he makes some comment. He's like, this is sexual harassment. And everyone's all over him, of course. Even Kakeru is like, I'm not going to stand next to him. I'll look like a total wimp. But Hagita, he actually takes his shirt off, and he has drawn abs onto his abdomen, and it's hilarious. I really like Hagita. I really like his way of looking at the world. I also like his character. Everyone's grown on me at this point. Everyone has truly grown on me. And we also see we see the girls also cheer them on, as they dress up as cheerleaders, they cheer them on. Naho, of course, being the modest girl that she is not so keen on the really short skirts that the girls wear during their cheerleading. So it's we do see a little more out of her, and Naho like really blushes. So they actually try to they actually try to motivate Kakeru by saying, hey, if you win first place, Naho will kiss you, which is I like that motivation. I like that motivation. And of course Kakeru actually we learn why Kakeru lashed out at Naho. Because he was actually feeling jealous because Naho actually took care of Suwa's wounds before she took care of his. So we do know that Kakeru is capable of feeling jealous towards Suwa, despite the fact they know they like the same girl. Kakeru is capable of feeling like Naho should be his and not Suwa's, which is kind of sad. We established in previous volumes that the two were capable of getting along, and the two were capable of, still being friends and still allowing Kakeru to be with Naho, or allowing the other person to spend time with Naho. But to see that Kakeru still has these emotions, like this sense of possessiveness or this envy of Suwa's interactions with Naho, it kind of fleshes out Kakeru a little more, and it shows that not only does it show that he is still a person who's not all forgiving, he's not all good, which makes for a much more complex character, but it also shows his mental state at the time of the sports festival. He has his mother. He's thinking of his mother. He wants to spend time with Naho. He feels jealous naturally. It's a very good progression for Kakeru. And this entire volume is great. When we finally get to the relay race, we learn that the six friends, besides Kakeru, they have a plan to relay a message to Kakeru through the relay race. So each person prepares a message, a part of a message, and as one person goes around the race, does the relay, they pass their part of the message on to the next person, who passes it on to the next person with their message added onto it. And that so on and so forth until it gets to Naho. Naho now has the full message. She does her relay lap, and when she passes the baton to Kakeru, she relays the entire message to him, and it's a really, really beautiful moment. Kakeru does help them win first place. We were worried about him twisting his ankle in the last volume, where he would twist his ankle and then blame himself for costing the team the race. So he does not twist his ankle because he's so motivated by his friends. Not only that, but his friends actually convinced him to open up to them prior to the race so that he doesn't injure himself, having, gone through Capture the Flag, which was really brutal on him. It's a really, really great strategy by these guys, and not everything went as the letters told them to go by, right? The letter said, don't let him participate in the race, but do let him enjoy the sports festival. Do bring his family. All these different things. I love how they're using the letters as reference now, but not as, not following them to the letter, if you'll pardon the expression, like following them word for word. Like, we know that the future has changed quite a bit. We need to make sure that the instructions that we do abide by are still, they still pertain to the future that we have created. It's a very good strategy. And I think that I hope Kakeru had a really good time. I think he did. There was a very touching moment in which he did kiss Naho on the cheek. It's not quite the kiss that I wanted. I kind of wanted a full-on lip-to-lip sort of thing, with Naho reciprocating the affection that Kakeru is giving her. Another thing that I'm noticing from these volumes, and that I keep forgetting to talk about, is how I think I talked about it once, but it's more prevalent in the past volume and this one. It's different for future Naho to regret something, and for present Naho to really want to do something. Future Naho regrets not confessing her feelings to Kakeru, for instance, but present Naho knows that she's going to regret it, but she still can't do it. So she finds an alternate route. And I think that's something that's prevalent throughout these past few volumes, because, of course, when you're in the moment, it's going to be different. You're not going to have the courage to do something. It's really interesting the way that this plays out, because we know what future Naho's regrets are. It's just a matter of present Naho going through with making sure she's not going to regret it, and that's actually a lot harder. It's realistic, and I like that. I really like that. It's heartbreaking at times, but you know what? It works. The last part of this volume is focusing on how they're going to get together over the holidays, and everyone's cheerful, everyone's excited, but there's sort of like a foreboding in everything, because the letters say that Kakeru and Naho are going to get into a really big fight at the New Year's party. And then Naho and Kakeru wouldn't be able to talk as much after that. Naho would not be able to even say goodbye or apologize to Kakeru before he commits suicide. And I'm beginning to wonder if that argument may have even contributed to Kakeru's mental state when he commits suicide. It's entirely possible, and it's very scary to think about. It's jovial, of course. The mood is jovial, but there's that sense of foreboding. Also, it's winter. We mentioned that Kakeru commits suicide in February. So now we're only 2 months away from the supposed day when Kakeru would commit suicide, and we are really, really worried about, what's going to happen. How are we going to deal with this? Suwa actually, future Suwa remembers that he confessed his feelings to Naho on New Year's Eve that year. So he fears that that might have also contributed to Kakeru's suicide. So present Suwa is determined this time to make sure that he does not confess his feelings to Naho. He's going to keep it bottled in. I don't know how well that's going to work, Suwa. I don't. If you like, he said himself in the previous volume, if you like someone, it's not exactly a choice. You don't exactly have a choice regarding who you would like and how much you like them. And if you did have a choice over that, then Suwa would very much not be in love with Naho right now, because otherwise it would, otherwise it would be much easier to give Kakeru what he wants. So it's really, really interesting and really, really tense right now. You really feel scared for these characters. You really, despite the jovial, the jovial outlook that they put on the smiles that they have, getting excited for the holidays and everything, it's really, really scary for these characters. They know that if they mess up, if they do something wrong, or even if they don't do anything, even if they do everything right, no one knows what's going to happen on New Year's Eve. Kakeru and Naho might still get into an argument. Kakeru might get depressed out of the blue. We don't know what's going to happen. And that feeling of, like, that tension, that terror, well, not so much terror, but like nervousness that comes with this whole ordeal is, I think, just absolutely brilliant. And we still have 2 more volumes left, so who knows what happens. We still have a couple more months until Kakeru supposedly commits suicide, or he could attempt suicide earlier. We could manage to keep him from committing suicide at that moment, but then fail to do so later. So many things at risk that could jeopardize everything. Like, it's really, really, really tense. I really love it. So that being said, I will see you guys for Volume 5. And hey, if you haven't already, check out my other ongoing series, Naruto. I'm currently on Volume 22. We are going after Sasuke. Sasuke is not doing well. He is probably joining the bad guys. Goodness, who knows? Who knows? We'll see. Hopefully not. But you know what? It would be also interesting if they didn't. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Also, be sure to check out my Pokemon Adventures Revisited series if you haven't already. We are currently on Volume 2. I just finished up Volume 2, and we are... this is basically a series in which I revisit a manga that was precious to me as a child, and I basically see how it holds up now that I'm an adult. I'm really enjoying it so far. I see a few problems here and there, but hey, you know what? What manga doesn't have problems? So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.